I'm just really good at bubbling Shadowburn and letting him kill everything.
Man, it looks like Faze has the advantage. You can see that they're in their faces. Shadowburn deep in the back line, doing a lot of damage. Zom backing him up, doing a great job. Shadowburn with the 4K!
Tanks, and more tanks. How could anybody play Genji in a meta surrounded by tanks? Well, Shadowburn is the man to put it to the test at MLG Vegas. I gotta be honest with you, I don't suggest that you play Genji into triple tank, but this video will be breaking down how they were able to see any success at all. And though of course they did get shut out by Envious in the grand final, everybody got shut out by Envious. Envious is the final boss in the current build of the game, and I might do a separate video breaking down that. But today, we're gonna break down how Faze was able to utilize what must be considered an off-meta pick in Genji at all in this tournament, fitting into a 3-tank composition. Because crucially, they're not emulating Misfits in the 3 DPS, 3-pronged approach attack. I have seen them try to do that strategy before, with middling results, and they seem to be much more confident with just trying to put Shadowburn as that flex DPS role, where he utilizes it as long as he can get away with it, because ultimately he doesn't want to be playing anything else. So to remind you how these pro guides go, it's more about digging out what the pros show us, rather than teaching you the advanced techniques specifically. If you want to know how to increase your shuriken accuracy, or good reflect timings, etc., we have dedicated videos to those things. I'll mention them in passing here, but if you want to know more specific things like that, we'll have a link in the description to other Genji videos we've made that can elaborate in more detail. Now, first of all, let me quickly break down why Genji is pretty mediocre in this tank-heavy meta. Genji is best played in the mid-fight, to steamroll an opening, more so than creating one. If the enemy team is split up, then yes, he can go in and fight whatever duel he needs to be in. But with multi-tank, the enemy supports are so well fortified that it's an incredibly risky way to play to simply just go dive them. This is why Roadhog is sort of center stage in the current meta, because he's stronger in the break of the fight, as in when both teams are squared up against each other in a 6v6, landing a hook can open up the entire fight. But at the same time, he's also good in the mid-fight too, because every 6 seconds he gets another insta-kill. Whereas Genji, on the other hand, has greater mobility and is a lot better in that mid-fight as he snowballs his Swift Strike resets and can basically win most duels in the game. Unless something is setting up that initiation into the play, he's kind of left just to poke and prod and play skittishly until an opening emerges for himself. Now, with that being the case, we're going to break down some examples of how they utilize what Genji can do in order to still work in the current meta. Pushing up the streets, Faze and Numbani here. Faze only has one last attack in order to try to get this objective in overtime, and they swap to the Genji in order to unlock Shadowburn. Notice positioning, he always takes higher alternate angles away from the general team fight, safe from the Roadhog hook, but also in the fight enough so that he can spam shurikens to at least charge his ult, if not find an opening. Too Easy gets the crucial hook on the enemy team's Roadhog, which starts up the entire fight and snowballs from there. And as soon as that first player's down, especially a key target like Roadhog, Shadowburn's off to the races and can just dive whatever target he wants freely without the fear of a hook insta-killing him from some weird angle. Now that lesson is incredibly important in this current meta of the game, because over the course of MLG, I think it can easily be said that teams that more effectively focus-fired their Roadhog hooks to confirm kills on them won more games. And Shadowburn is always at the ready to pounce whatever Too Easy hooks, because once that first target is out of the fight, then Shadowburn's Genji is ready to snowball from there. Let's look at another engagement against Team Liquid on Hollywood. The enemy team is taking a defensive stance behind the point, yielding some space and looking for a Roadhog hook, but they get Roadhog hooked themselves. And with an Ana grenade and Genji pouncing the Roadhog, there's nowhere to hide. Here, Genji's mobility is an asset to the team, and though it was Too Easy's hook and Raucus's anti-heal that definitely secured the kill, without Genji's mobility, there's a chance that that Roadhog gets away. And it's that focus fire target prioritization to confirm the kill on the hook that even allows him to do all the razzle-dazzle cleaning up the rest of the enemy team. Because really, at the end of this fight, Genji cleaning everything up is kind of a foregone conclusion anyway. As with the engagement happening so fast, it's not like the defense had any ultimates to work with. As long as they just ran into the enemy team, they likely would have killed them anyway. And that's kind of the problem with Genji. He succeeds in these mid-fights that oftentimes you would win regardless just because you won the entry initiation fight. You didn't necessarily need this Genji here to clean up the rest of these kills. It looks really cool and we love to see it. But once you have that man advantage, you can just push your Roadhog in, heal better with your Ana to win the fight regardless of what pieces you had. Now on King's Row against Cloud9, FaZe find themselves in a similar situation that they had this entire LAN, the clock being down and their backs against the wall, needing clutch play to somehow overcome and take the victory. Roadhog Hook comes in, Maywall up to secure the kill. He pulls out Dragon Blade and feasts on the supports as they try to run away. He gets in close distance and kills a lot of them, but the problem with playing Genji in the backline, that is all the while you're taking duels against supports, your team is left to fight in a more or less fair fight. So the resources that you're taking to go kill things in the enemy's backline, in a way, puts you at a disadvantage in your front line. Despite their supports getting wrecked, Cloud9 do some work on the rest of FaZe's team, and the fight gets really scrappy into a 2v2 here at the end. Fact Fiction just barely gets his Earth Shatter at the end of this fight and slams down D.Va to pop her out of mech, and Shadowburn and him clutch out the fight in order to keep the cart moving. There's a lot going on here, and I think a lot for us to learn in Shadowburn's decision making, and he moves so fast it might not be clear the excellent decisions that he's doing from second to second. Keeping in mind that he is on chip health almost this entire time, and a stray bullet could basically finish him, as he doesn't have healers alive on his team either. At any moment, if they get killed and wiped off the cart, overtime is over. So this is a must-win duel. Once his Dragon Blade expires, he starts to get into a medium-range duel with the D.Va, trying to stay out of her insane damage range. But once he notices he's taking more damage than he'd like to and his health's getting really low, he dashes through the tanks, dealing damage to them, putting himself behind his own tank, so that he can take the front-facing damage on the point of contact. Factor Fiction gets the clutch Earth Shatter at the last second in order to slam down both tanks. He jumps over the top of them safely in order to confirm the kills. He finishes off Rib, and as every good Genji player knows, as soon as you get an elimination, you know you have your Swift Strike available. He spots the Mei jump on top of the cart, and that could spell doom for him if Surefour landed a clutch headshot. We're talking about pros here. Surefour has some of the best aim in the entire world. Shadowburn is one icicle headshot away from getting shut out of this fight and potentially losing this map. So as soon as he sees the Mei, he dashes through her and takes a shot anyway. But luckily it wasn't to the head, just to the body, so now he has 25 HP. Doing a dash through your opponent forces them to be disoriented, and even though they know you're 180 degrees in the other direction, they still have to reacquire the target and swing their camera all the way there. He shoots a volley of shurikens at Surefour, and knowing he's at chip health, and Surefour might swing around in order to hit an insta-kill on him, he preemptively hits the Reflect out of view, so although Surefour will get the sound cue that Reflect has been initiated, he won't get the visual animation, and by the time he turns to shoot, it spells doom for Surefour, as the icicle gets deflected right back into his face. A lot of pro analysts break down Shadowburn's Genji to be the most complete Genji in the world, in that he can excel from every aspect of Genji's kit. And I have to agree with that sentiment. He's got the best shurikens, he's got the best dash resets, he cleans up with Genji Blade, and his reflects are absolutely on point. Here on Dorado, with 17 seconds left on the clock, FaZe has to win this team fight in order to finish the map. Cloud9 drop a sound barrier, and it gets them a kill on FaZe's Ana. Downhill player, it's looking grim, but Too Easy gets an equalizing hook to kill the Mei, and now it's an even fight, but remember, Cloud9 has the respawn advantage. Zombs gets Graviton in time, which bundles them up all at the checkpoint, and they pop Sound Barrier to confirm some kills, and the target prioritization on Shadowburn here is impeccable. He assassinates the Lucio with quick work, playing at close range to be sure to have the fan of shurikens all hit into the head hit box for the fastest time to kill, and as the Roadhog redirects his attention to him, he knows that's not a great fight for him. Genji does not want to be fighting Roadhog in a 1v1, and furthermore, he catches a glimpse of Ana coming out of spawn, who's going to give Roadhog infinite HP anyway. He immediately switches targets in order to dive into her, and he does a Shadowburn classic move. He shoots a volley of shurikens and then reflects immediately, jamming the reflect hitbox into the face of his target. I see him do this quite often, actually. And not only is the deflect impeccably timed, so that Rolf throwing the grenade was doomed to get reflect back at him, it's positioned in such a way that Rolf cannot physically get the nade past him. If you play this uncomfortably close against your target that you're reflecting, it's similar to putting defense matrix in something's face. It's occupying all their screen space and taking them out of the fight. Rolf can't heal, Rolf can't nade, and if Rolf even dares to do either, it's going to spell his doom. And it does. With the squishy healers out of the picture, Faze makes short work of the rest of the tanks, and our Genji player can feel satisfied with a job well done. Tank v tank, if you have supports alive and they don't, your tank should always win. Now on this one on Volskaya, I want to highlight the positioning choices that Shadowburn makes. Fnatic sets up on the high ground, and here Faze does a good response. Instead of just funneling onto the point so they can get shot down on, they go to challenge the high ground in close range. Now, the enemy D.Va actually does a good job of knocking down the Reinhardt, but in the exchange, Lucio goes low on health and Shadowburn pounces at the opportunity, dashing through the formation and finishing him off. This puts him at the blind spot of the enemy, and with the majority of his team over to the other side, Fnatic can't really dedicate a lot of their attention in order to focus down the Genji, much less they might not even know where he is at any given time. He jumps off from one angle, comes up another, and the only thing from keeping him from finishing off the Soldier 76 was that his dash was 1 second away from finishing, otherwise it would have been off to the races for Shadowburn right then and there. Everything moves so fast that it might be hard to track the quick decision making that Shadowburn's doing from second to second. But as Fnatic starts to think that they have an advantage here with their Rein on the high ground, they push up and Shadowburn dashes through the entirety of them. With a quick jump, he's gone again off the balcony, and he's just moving too fast for the enemy to even track where he is. He jumps up at an alternate angle yet again, and is uncomfortably close to the Soldier 76. A couple volleys to the head, and a well-timed reflect nearly got him the kill there, if not for the enemy Reinhardt putting a clutch barrier between them. Despite the lost opportunity, Shadowburn doesn't overcommit. Dash wasn't up, feels bad, man. Instead, he's going to hold his positioning, which is causing a hectic, uncomfortable angle for the enemy team to deal with. And with the rest of Faze taking the point, and Tuizi's hooks coming up every 6 seconds, the looming doom over Fnatic slowly builds and builds. Another important aspect of this clip that shouldn't go unnoticed is how Shadowburn positions himself to always be at bay from the enemy team's Roadhog. As the Rein and Roadhog crouch up, that's when he decides to Swift Strike. There's no way he saw the Lucio there and knew that he was lit. He just barely popped up on his screen as he Swift Striked and kind of got lucky that that was a finishing kill there. But as he harasses the Soldier and buds on Roadhog is over to the side, he's always staying at max hook range from the Roadhog. Granted, he's in a blind spot of the entire enemy team, but it's important that he's in the blind spot of the Roadhog at all times. He can fight whoever he wants, but as any of these squishy flanker heroes right now in Overwatch, you have to keep a bead on the Roadhog. Either he has to get focused out of the fight and dealt with, or you have to play exceptionally well to make sure that you're not in threat of catching one of those swift insta-kills from the Hog. He pokes and prods a bit more and actually has a pretty bad dash here that doesn't do a whole lot, but if you pay close attention, once he's in the midst of the fight, Zombs pops a bubble on him to ensure that he won't take any damage. Zom played exceptionally this entire tournament, and that fact of how much you have to respect the Roadhog breaks down the issue in the current meta. Because Roadhog is so good, so reliable, and relatively easy to play, in order to play around him takes a much higher level skill set than to just simply play the Roadhog pick game yourself. Every DPS hero runs in fear of Roadhog right now. You have to respect his presence just as you would an insane Widowmaker sightline, but even more so, because a Roadhog hook is much easier to hit than even a Widowmaker headshot. Now, the last thing that we have to break down is the Genji blade. This is incredibly important, actually, because ultimate team fights dictate a lot of Overwatch. So much of the game still rests in your ability to properly ult combo and get value out of them to win team fights cleanly. And the way Faze do this, of course, is by giving Shadowburn the ball. They want to win, and he's going to be the guy to do it. You quickly and efficiently put all your resources into the Genji to make him your raid boss to tear into the enemy team. Just about every time at MLG when Raucus was being spectated with Nano Boost in his pocket, you could foresee this play incoming. Keeping in mind that enemy teams only sometimes run Soldier, but there really isn't any long-range threats besides him that Genji's gonna have to worry about, which makes this razzle-dazzle ultimate combo setup work so well. The goal is for Genji to Swift Strike into the air, getting him distance and a sightline advantage so that he can see where he wants to dive next. Crucially, when you use Swift Strike to get into the air and then pull out your sword mid-air, it actually gives you a dash reset. So from that position, you can dash towards the target that you want to take out, and you want to find something that you can take out quickly. But at the same time, you do so much damage that you can chew through tanks or anything really. But ideally, you want to kill something fast so that you get another dash reset, so you can dash quickly to avoid threats and also get that extra little bit of damage from the dash. Here, although Faze wipe them, they get 2/3 of the point and Fnatic is able to stabilize. But by the time that they set up to do the next attack, they already have Nano Sword once again, because the fight extended out so long. But this time with a second go at it, Shadowburn is sure to find squishy targets that he can take out even faster. Because especially on 2 capture point, it's not good enough to just kill them, you have to kill them fast. Because no matter what, there is going to be stall in a trickle fight ensuing. Dashes up in the air, pulls out the sword, gets dash reset back again, and hello, what do we have here? A couple of supports ready to meet my blade. He makes short work of them, and notice how the nano boosted dash hits the first target, swings to finish it, and it's the same combination but backwards on the next target. There's no point to use another swing because it's overkill on that target. You have dash up anyway, and it's going to make you move faster and be more efficient to finish them off with the low damage dash rather than using an entire swing, because you're going to get dash anyway from the second limb. Sometimes it might be valuable to hold on to your dashes and just swing away if you're chewing through a tank or something, but if you don't have to, you're going to get dash for free, you might as well keep that momentum going. He reps around to the outside and probably would have liked to hit something with this dash as well, but at the very least sets himself up to try to cleave into whatever's on the point. He does find the Tracer and is able to one-shot her with Nano Blade, because if my math is correct, Nano Boost gives you a damage amp of 50, Dragon Blade does 120, so every blade swing does 180. And for your reference, a Nano Boosted Swift Strike will do 75 as opposed to 50 normally. The second attack went much cleaner because the kills were found much faster. And that's the key to the Nano Sword. It isn't the most effective tactic or the most necessary one in the multi-tank meta, but it definitely can be effective if you execute the combos right. Here on Numbani, we'll see the same exact execution again. Swift Strike in the air, sword comes out, Nano goes on, he gets a Swift Strike back again, finds the squishies immediately. One swipe and a dash for a squishy, multiple swipes until they're dead on tanks. And that snowballs the fight from there. And that's really the key. To make an ult stack viable in Overwatch, it needs to be able to do its job fast. Because any time for the enemy team to react can allow them to pop an ult to possibly clutch their way out of the situation. Currently now, it could be argued that Grav Diva Bomb or Earth Shattered Diva Bomb is a lot easier to enact than the Razzle Dazzle Genji play. But Nano Boost on Genji is a bit stronger than on tanks, because he has the ability to dash to close the distance to guarantee that he can be in range for that damage to matter. Here on King's Row, we have Raucus once again shooting up at the Genji. And wouldn't you know it, he dashes up into the air and gets the Zarya bubble and Nano Boost Blade, and he's into the backline, killing Lucio immediately, shredding up tanks as well, dashes in order to close the distance when needed, and does the Shadowburn special, pushing the deflect right into Surefour's face. He doesn't take the bait this time, but he does win the duel. A little bit of trickle does try to come out from Cloud9, but really they have no business with contesting this point because those early kills came so fast. When you're finishing out a lot of these objectives where your attacking team has a big respawn disadvantage or even spawns, you have to be quick to deny the enemy team a trickle battle. The faster you get those kills, the less likely the enemy team has a chance for that retake fight. Guys, what do we think of Shadowburn's Genji? It's hype, isn't it? It's unfortunate that the meta dictates that it's difficult for any player to play Genji, even Shadowburn, as we saw them come up very short in the Grand Final against Envious, but at the very least, he was able to put a show on for us, even if it is quite a bit more difficult to play Genji against tanks. Be sure to check out our other Genji guides if you want more specifics on how to improve small mechanical aspects of your game. This video is more about how Shadowburn himself was able to succeed against the tank meta to varying degrees of success. There obviously was matches where he was utterly shut out on Genji and he had to go on to the Diva for a lot of these games. He didn't get anything going against Envious at all, but it is remarkable that when the chips are down and Faze need a big play to happen, Shadowburn's typically on Genji when it does happen, which is a remarkable thing in its own right. Hopefully with some minor tweaking to the game, we can see more skilled heroes like Genji re-emerge in the meta, and I'll be more than happy to do more pro breakdowns in that context. But for now, we have the meta that we have. So Genji players, remember, don't stay on Genji forever. He's not very meta. He's very hard to play. But if you're going to play him, you have to avoid every single Roadhog hook, take advantage of his mobility and his ability to pounce on kills when they're trying to get away. That's how you unlock the potential of Genji. And of course, Nano Sword is kind of good. A cheeky ult combo, navigating through the enemy's line to quickly wipe them out, can snowball a team fight and set you up to finish off objectives. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button. It really does help us out. Subscribe for more. We upload each and every day. However, we did just take Christmas off yesterday, so we took one day off thus far in our entire Overwatch careers. How dare we? Check out our Discord server, linked in the description, where you can group up with teammates on all platforms at any skill rank, as well as socialize with the Overwatch community. Follow us on Twitter at YourOverwatchYT and on Twitch. where we're looking to live stream even more in 2017, doing a variety of things, playing games ranked, playing with viewers, teaching streams, VOD review streams, all sorts of fun things. That's been it for me. I've been FREEDO for Your Overwatch. I'll see you guys next time.
Shadowburn, we can talk about how Genji is not in the meta, but he is so damn good on this hero that he can make it work.
I mean, like, Genji may not be in the meta, but Shadowburn's Genji is in every meta. That's just how it works, man.
That does seem to be true. It's true these days, that's for sure.